What's up guys, welcome back. Today we have yet another guitar lesson and we're going to talk about how to combine diatonic arpeggios, so arpeggios from the major scale. And we're going to take a look at how to combine these arpeggios together to create interesting and fresh licks. Alright, let's get into the lesson. Okay, first we need to talk about a concept which is the harmonized scale. This basically means we're going to build a chord on top of each note of the scale. So let's take C major, just for the sake of this example. We're going to build a triad or even a seventh chord on top of each note of the scale. So let's start from C. Now C is going to be the root of our triad. We do this by stacking thirds on top of each other. This is how you build triads basically. So from C we're going to have C, E, a major third, and then E, G, a minor third. That's C, E, G, which is basically C major triad. So you see I'm just skipping a note from the scale, in order to get the third. Then we do the same for D, which is the next note in the C major scale. So we start from D, we take again a third, which is D, and then F. So D, skip the E, and then you take F. And then from F you take another third, which is going to be A. And so you have D, F, and A, aka D minor. And then you do the same basically for every other note of the C major scale. So E minor, F major, G major, A minor, and B diminished. Then back on C, obviously. And obviously you can do the same with 7 chords. You just add the 7, major 7 or minor 7, depending on the chord obviously, and you get 7 chords basically. So C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G dominant 7, A minor 7, B half diminished or D minor 7 flat 5, and then back on C major 7. So really the question is, how do I know whether to use a major third or a minor third or a major 7 or a minor 7? Well, I just use the notes of the C major scale. That's why it's the harmonized major scale, because every single one of these chords that I played only contain notes of the C major scale. So for instance, if I have to harmonize a chord starting on A, it has to be A minor, because if you try to play A major, you're gonna play A, C sharp, and E. But C sharp is not in the C major scale, so you go out of key, you go in another key here. So you can't use A major, you have to use the minor third instead, so C natural, in order to have every note of the chord contained in the C major scale. So what all of this means basically is just that all these chords that we played now are all contained in the C key, C major or A minor. And this means that actually that you can use any of these every time you are playing in A minor or C major, which is quite interesting because obviously this means that we can combine all of these chords and then obviously arpeggios together to create some interesting sounds. So let's take 7th arpeggios, which sound a bit more interesting than just triads, obviously. Now, obviously, not every chord works well with the other, because it also depends on the function that these chords have. But in general, you can pretty much use any of these arpeggios as you like while you're improvising or playing solos. Let me demonstrate that. If I play something like that was a random line. Basically what I did here is just the C major arpeggio, C major 7 arpeggio, and then I went up with the E minor 7 arpeggio, and then I connected it with the A minor 7 arpeggio. So you see I'm basically combining different arpeggios, because as I said before, every one of these belong to the same key, so I can use them as I like. Now, obviously, some of them introduce some tension. It depends on the intervals that you're playing. Like if I play D minor 7, the F, which is the fourth, is going to introduce obviously some tension in the phrase. So you might want to be careful on resolving those tensions if you want. So the ones that introduce tension are, again, D minor, then obviously G, which again has the F, and B, which has the F2. So basically all the time you play the fourth or the seventh of the scale, so in this case F or B, you're going to introduce tension, so you might want to be careful on how you resolve that tension. And then all the other chords, obviously, you can pretty much exchange them as you want. So C, C major, E minor, A minor work really well together, since they have a lot of notes in common, you know. They all sound pretty similar. So for instance, I can play so this is like A minor 7 and then E minor 7. So you see how you can easily combine different shapes together and create your own new licks, new arpeggios. So how do you practice this kind of stuff? How can you get started with something like this, which is a pretty complex concept? Well, obviously you have to know theory, you have to know intervals, otherwise it's very difficult to do this kind of thing. But once you know intervals and you know the scales pretty well, you can start practicing these arpeggios on their own, so individually. So you start with the C major, C major 7, and then D minor 7, and so on. So once you know them individually very well, then you can think of combining them. And so the more you practice these kind of arpeggios all over the neck, the more you'll be able to fluently interchange them as you like. And also this is very important to deepen your knowledge of the scale. So if you know the scale like this with every chord contained in it and every arpeggio, that means that you're really mastering the major scale and you can use it in ways that you didn't think of. The major scale doesn't have to be okay, this is the major scale, but how do I use that in a more interesting way? Well, like this. With these notes, there are so many things that you can do. You can, again, if you think of them like chords, you can have many different chords, so many different colors to use in your solos, even in your harmonies. Obviously, you can, build chord progression with chords, diatonic progressions, so chords of the major scale. But anyway, you got the point. Anyway, so this would be a more advanced approach to major scales. Obviously, then you have to do this for all the major scales. So you can't just play in C for the rest of your life. It would be great, but it's just not possible. So then you do this for every key, basically. So you find all the chords and all the arpeggios contained in every scale. And yeah, so it's definitely a more advanced approach. It takes time to develop, a concept like this, but I can guarantee you that the advantage that it can give you in both a lead playing and, harmonies, building chord progressions, even rhythm playing, because you know how to connect chords together. I think something like this really opens your perspectives in terms of what is possible to do and what you can come up on your own. You see, this kind of stuff is just thinking of different arpeggios, different chords together. This is how I approach this kind of playing. So yeah, if you were curious on how to play something like, something that sounds more free from shapes and scales, this would be the approach, which is obviously a bit more complicated, but this is the answer. Obviously, there's no magic trick. It's just, good old practice. But anyway, if you're still with me at this point of the video, I'm gonna give you a gift. I'm gonna show you a lick that I made with this kind of approach in mind. So it should sound something like this. So I think it's a pretty versatile lick that you can use to, change a few notes here and there, try to experiment with different things and also with everything that I talked about to, come up with your own thing, experiment and try to get the most out of it. But anyway, I'm gonna play it to you slow. You may or may not find some tabs in the description. I still have to think about it. Anyway, it's pretty simple. You can learn it even just by looking at this video. So it goes something like this. One more time. So it's basically C major 7, E minor 7, and then A minor 7. So it starts with the C major 7, and then I connect it to the E minor 7, and then again I connect it to the A minor 7 here, this position here. So and then you play whatever you want. Alright guys, that's it for today's lesson. Thank you so much for watching and hope you enjoyed it. If so, leave a like. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. That really helps me out. And as you may already know, I offer Skype lessons one-to-one. So if you're interested, maybe shoot me a DM or a message on Facebook and we can talk about that. In any case, I'll see you as always in the next video. Ciao.